offensive foul charged to number 13, Josh Birchfield, his second, 18th foul. Tulane substitution number 41, Tomas Bruja.
So Bruja will return. Penalty situation. And the bonus for Georgia Tech here is Daniel Miller will step to the free throw line.
Daniel
1-1.
Miller at the line shooting 1-1.
So far, Georgia Tech, of course, loving the new dig, shooting 50% here in the first half. And that is definitely something they did not see much of at all last year playing away in Phillips Arena. They had way too many games where only scoring under 40 points.
Nothing gets you closer to the must-see moments of the day than the ACC Digital Network. If you missed the big play or you want to see it again, we've got you covered. The ACC Digital Network, brought to you by Ruby Tuesday, the ACCDN.com. 1 of 2 for Daniel Miller from the free throw line. Daniel Miller now with 6 points and 7 rebounds here in the first half, guarding Bruja on the block. Again, that shot clock is inside of 10 for Tulane. Drive. Steps in, knocked away.
Going into that size of Hosley. Georgia Tech getting out in transition. Bolden finally missing a shot. Hosley picking up the foul, but you can see the intent that Georgia Tech has in pushing the basketball. You see Hosley sprinting down the middle of the floor, opening up for shooters on the perimeter. And Coach Gregory does not mind those shots because he knows that Bolden can knock that down.
Chris Bolden has 7 points in the first half for his head coach, Brian Gregory, in his second season. Inside of a minute to go in the first half. First ever game from McCamish Pavilion. Multi-million-dollar upgrades and refurbishment to Alexander Coliseum. This is the result of this beautiful new facility here in Atlanta, Georgia. Davis. Score it.
Davis has been in attack mode the entire first half. And that time attacking the basket strong. Using great body control to avoid the charge and drawing the foul on Daniel Miller. Miller was moving at the end of that play. Davis with great concentration to be able to finish it. As you see Miller moving a little to his left, getting underneath Davis, getting to the rim. Davis doing a great job concentrating on finishing the basket.
And all of that by Josh Davis with those 2 personal fouls. So he was at the free throw line. It was not a strength of this Tulane team a season ago. They were just 66% as a team. That was 10th in the conference, but they keep this miss alive. Look at Callahan. And Udofia grabs it. Ufon Udofia, the only senior on the roster. 6'2", 195 from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Averaged close to 10 points a season ago for Tech. Turn around and he gets the roll. Marcus Georges-Hunt.
I really like the way Marcus Georges-Hunt and Bolden have come in and played very poised for freshmen in their first game in a new arena. They have really come in and done the job and provided Georgia Tech.
Goes and wins at Jacksonville. Mort, this Indianapolis story continues to grow.
Yeah, and it's got that feel of, they just maybe sneaking in, not sneaking in, maybe slipping into that wild card position. They're in it right now. They're in the playoffs right now. But, it's kind of like you still look at them and you say, okay, they've captured something there. Obviously, the drama with Chuck Pagano is real. It's real drama, and I think it's something that really has brought a team closer together. And they've obviously hit on Andrew Luck, even though Andrew, I'll say this, he'll probably only give himself a C- for last night, too. That wasn't as impressive as he certainly wanted it, but they've got it going right now.
Keyshawn, what do you like about not just Luck, but the way the entire team has played so far?
Well, I think, first of all, they've responded very well to everything that's gone on since Chuck Pagano is gone and Bruce Arians has taken over. But when you look at the body of work from Chuck Pagano, a defensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens in that organization, kind of learned how to put a team together under Ozzie Newsome. And now he goes to Indianapolis, and those same tools that he learned in Baltimore, he brings to Indy. It has some sort of effect on his football team, and the guys are out there playing. They're doing everything. this team isn't penalized heavily. You don't see a bunch of stupid, dumb mistakes like you see with other teams. And I think when you look back, the right move to draft Andrew Luck, we'll be talking about it for probably the next 15 years or so about him, and then you'll start that conversation about is he better than Peyton Manning at some point in time. I just think that the team is something special about him right now.
Mort, it bears repeating, obviously, Chuck Pagano with the emotional return now back for another round of treatment for his leukemia. It bears repeating the job that Bruce Arians has done. Remember, Arians, quote, retired, but really was pushed out in Pittsburgh as the offensive coordinator for Ben Roethlisberger. And now he gets Luck, and he's the guy who was there at the formative days of Peyton Manning. And not only is he handling Luck and the offense very well, but the entirety of running the team.
You know, it's funny because you sit here at midseason, and everybody talks about their midseason awards, and it's just something we do in the media. But as you talk about Coach of the Year, you have to sit there and go, okay, because Bruce Arians is in this conversation now because of all these circumstances. And, you know, right now the goal is Arians' goal, and certainly Chuck Pagano's goal, is to come back before the season is over. You know, they're talking about December 30th, the last regular season game of the year, which I think is against the Houston Texans, by the way. But it could be a couple weeks before that. But really, Chuck's laid the foundation for it, but what Arians has done is very admirable. And not only that, bringing that young team around. And let's not, Ryan Grigson's the general manager there too. But really keeping key guys like Reggie Wayne and even a Dwight Freeney or a Robert Matthews, they kept enough core veteran guys that were left over from the successful run before that's also carried over.
And, Keyshawn, that's awkward for those veterans.
It is, but at the same time, I think, you have to have some sort of veteran leadership when a new regime comes in. You got to keep your core guys. I mean, sometimes it's the running back. Sometimes it's the left tackle. And most times, often, it's the quarterback. But in this case, they had to let Peyton Manning go because they needed Andrew Luck. We didn't really know about the injuries at that point in time. But as long as you have a few guys, maybe one or two on defense, one or two on offense, you can help build a foundation along with the head coach.
It's the Weekend Blitz on ESPN Radio. He's Keyshawn Johnson. I'm Mike Tirico. Chris Mortensen along with us, as always, as well. Guys, when the NFL schedule gets set up, a couple of things. They start to look for the game that will be one of the best matchups of the weekend and put it late Sunday afternoon because even though you have Monday night and Sunday night, that late Sunday afternoon window where everybody keeps fighting to call it America's Game of the Week, that's the window where the most people watch football, late Sunday afternoon. Well, Philadelphia and Dallas are in that window based on their heritage. But right now, they typify the rest of the National Football League. Philly comes into this game off the loss on Monday night. They're 3-5. Dallas is 3-5. Mort, there is not one matchup on Sunday afternoon where there are winning teams going head-to-head, and Philly and Dallas typify that.
And you know what? We're going to end up watching the game because we have to. No, listen, it's true. We're at a period of the season where I say there's always a little.
I got the easy job, Corey.
Coach, when you look around this building and you see the amazing upgrades that have been made, does your jaw just rock to the floor and you say, look where Georgia Tech basketball has come?
It does, and I'm so proud of all the players coming back. And I just can't say enough about the new place. And Brian Gregory, he had a great recruiting year. And as Corey well knows, he needs a couple more recruiting classes.
Of course, and when you look at that, I mean, how special is it for you to look out there and see Crimmins Court out there? Regardless as to what's going on, you still see your name on that court.
I'm very proud of that, Corey.
Sounds good. Well, Coach, you're going to stick around with us. Hey, you want to get in? We gave John Sally the same opportunity.
No.
You want to call some of this game, feel free.
No,
Coach, give us your impressions of what you've seen from Georgia Tech so far.
Well, it's been such an emotional game for me. They made us line up about 8 minutes ago, so I missed most of the first half. But I coached against Ed Conroy when he was at Citadel, and they're a tempo team. And what I love what Georgia Tech is doing right now, they're keeping the lead. They got to keep this lead because Tulane's a ball control team.
One of the main reasons they're keeping that lead, Daniel Miller and Camion Hosey, those guys are doing a great job on the offensive board. And I know that's one of the strengths of Coach Gregory's coaching is he preaches to rebound on both ends of the floor.
This is Tarrant. Timmons. They get a foul on the play against Georgia Tech. That'll be against Georgia's Hunt. Coach, when you look around, what is the thing that stands out the most here at McCamish Pavilion? the paint is just barely dry in this place.
Well, you know, you love to see the students out front. Of course, that all started with Duke. I like the way it's darkened, and it looks, you know what I really love about it, they did not knock down the roof. This is the same building that was opened in 1956, and they just gutted it and made this beautiful. And you know, Georgia Tech has great engineers and architects, and they did a great job.
And as you've contributed so much to this program, where do you see this program going, not only this year, but heading into the future?
Corey, you know, Atlanta, as you well know, Atlanta, the state of Georgia, is a great recruiting area. And I just think Brian's got to follow up with his great recruiting class, at least 2 more outstanding recruiting classes, keep them all together. Hopefully nobody turn pro. And then I see something really happening. But, you know, I don't have to tell you. You played in the ACC. You know what it's like. And but I like to, you know, we have 3 freshmen who are key parts of our team right now. And we need more recruiting, Corey.
Coach, we really appreciate you coming and visiting with us.
My pleasure.
Enjoy the evening and the celebration of Georgia Tech basketball.
You're working with a great player.
I'm well aware. My
Nice,
point
Coach.
guard. The all-time winningest coach in Georgia Tech history, Bobby Cremins, kind enough to join us. You see his name on the court here in Atlanta, Georgia at McCamish Pavilion. Thomas Bruja got that last basket for Tulane. He now has 4 points. That's a difficult shot on the baseline there from Robert Carter, and the Green Wave has the ball back. So there is the business of winning a basketball game as well tonight, Corey Alexander.
It is, and no one other than Tulane would love to be the spoiler. You talk about they've won the last 3 against Georgia Tech, 4 of the last 5. And if they could get this win, a team that's trying to rebound on its own from a tough year, this would be definitely a program win for them.
A 6-0 run for Tulane ends on that floater by Marcus Georges-Hunt. First basket of the second half, and he's into double figures with 10.
And Coach Gregory talked about the fact that he's not necessarily a great shooter. He's just a scorer, a guy that knows how to put the ball in the basket, and he's shown us that here this evening.
Steal. Timmons all the way to the rim, kind of forced that one. Here comes Tech.
That's the second time that Marcus Georges-Hunt has gotten back in transition and stopped Timmons from scoring. And Timmons, you can see, he's coming back from an Achilles injury last year, and he doesn't look as though he's full speed right now, trying to play his way back into shape.
Now Josh Davis just picked up his 3rd personal foul for Tulane, which will have a couple of substitutions, as will Georgia Tech.
That's one that Tulane has to be very wary of, because Josh Davis has been the offense for Tulane in the first half. 15 points in the first half, as you mentioned earlier, and he's been huge, so therefore they can't afford to lose his production. He's got to be very careful playing with those 3 fouls.
Tulane substitutions, number 34, Trey Dry.
So Dry comes in, and Cherry for Tulane. Bolden is back in, wearing number 11. He had 7 points in the first half, including a 3. Jason Morris also had a 3-pointer in the first half for Georgia Tech. So that 1 of 2 for Carter, who now has 3 points in the game. Davis trying to back down on Carter. Hit the cutter, Timmons.
And great play by Davis, who saw all the attention he was getting and was able to drop it off right underneath the basket for an easy layup. So taking advantage of his opportunities at the rim.
Carter created some contact. It'll be Ben Cherry.
Tulane foul charge to number 4, Ben Cherry. His
First personal on Cherry. So that puts Carter right back at the free throw line.
You can see Robert Carter is not necessarily a guy that's going to play as much with his back to the basket. He's really a face-up 4. Shoots the ball very well and can put it on the floor, getting to the rim. Doing a great job attacking the basket. Looks like he's a little more, he was a little overwhelmed in the first half. Your first game, new building, everything looked a little overwhelmed, but has come out much more settled down here in the second half.
Freshman, 6'8", 245 pounds. And he is now 3 of 4 from the free throw line, and 5 in total for Robert Carter. 8-point lead for Georgia Tech. Big has 11 in the first half. This is Davis, who had a double-double in the team's meeting last year, 11 points and 10 rebounds. He's got 19 for Tulane and has the ball again. Shot clock inside of 10. Cherry. Davis working on Carter.
That's one of the concerns. Brian Gregory said earlier, I don't know if Carter can stay in front of Davis, and Davis has really exploited that matchup.
Golden misses. George's Hunt fighting. Holsey grabbed it. Carter's open for three. Tarrant on the run. Holsey ripped it